They laughed at his rifle the moment they noticed it. Not with sound, not with jokes. Just a look that said enough. The rifle was old. Older than most of the men holding the ridge that morning. The wooden stock was dark, worn smooth by years of use and neglect. The metal carried no shine, no modern pride. No advanced scope, no impressive attachments. Around him, newer rifles rested confidently against rocks and packs. Men checked them again and again, fingers adjusting settings they barely understood. They trusted numbers. They trusted distance. They trusted what they had been told was better. He trusted silence. Cold wind moved across the ridge, slow and sharp. Snow pressed into fabric and skin. Breath turned white, then disappeared. Below them stretched a wide valley, quiet in a way that never meant safe. Somewhere down there, enemy snipers were already watching. Patient, trained, waiting for a mistake. Command said 4 days. 4 days to hold the line. 4 days to survive. He lowered himself into the snow without a word. The rifle settled into his shoulder like something remembered, not learned. The waiting began. The first shot did not announce itself. There was no echo rolling across the valley, no dramatic crack to warn the others. It was there, and then it was gone. Far below, an enemy sniper had lifted his head just enough to adjust his scope. A small movement. A careless one. The man behind the old rifle noticed it instantly. He did not rush. He did not chase the moment. He waited until the wind slowed. Until his breathing settled into a steady rhythm. Until the distance felt familiar. Then he squeezed the trigger. The rifle responded softly, almost politely. The recoil was gentle, controlled. The bullet traveled through cold air and confidence alike. The sniper fell forward into the snow. No sound. No second chance. The man immediately shifted position. Snow pressed against his chest as he crawled sideways, slow and deliberate. A sniper who stays after firing is already dead. He had learned that lesson long ago. Seconds later, enemy shots snapped through the space he had just abandoned. Too fast. Too angry. He watched from a new angle as confusion spread below. Scope searched shadows. Men whispered urgently into radios. Behind him on the ridge, the others said nothing. They had seen the shot. They had felt the change. The laughter was gone now. Only silence remained, and work still to be done. The valley did not erupt after the first kill. It tightened. Enemy snipers became careful. Too careful. They stopped moving freely, stopped testing angles, stopped trusting speed. That made them predictable. The man on the ridge lay still for hours. Snow gathered on his sleeve. Ice formed along the edge of his glove. His fingers ached, then went numb, then stopped complaining altogether. Patience is not calm. It is endurance disguised as silence. Through his rifle sights, the world narrowed. Rock. Tree line. Shadow. A single broken branch that had not been broken yesterday. Midday passed slowly. The sun climbed without warmth. Then movement. A sniper adjusted his position behind a fallen log. Careful. Professional. But he shifted his weight just enough to expose the wrong shape. The shot came clean. Another body collapsed into the snow. 2. He moved again immediately, leaving behind nothing but disturbed powder. Moments later, enemy rounds struck where he had been. They were learning. But they were learning from losses. By evening, the ridge felt different. The others watched the valley the way men watch a wounded animal. Respectful, alert, waiting. The man cleaned his rifle carefully as darkness crept in. The night would belong to sound. Night did not bring rest. It sharpened everything. Darkness settled over the ridge like a heavy blanket, pressing sound closer instead of hiding it. Snow no longer looked white. It turned gray, then black, absorbing light and giving nothing back. Every breath felt loud. Every movement felt dangerous. The man lay still, his body half buried, his rifle aligned with a narrow slice of the valley below. He did not search with his eyes, he listened. At night vision lies, sound does not. A faint scrape reached him from the darkness. Not a step, not a fall. Something dragged for a fraction of a second and then stopped. Too controlled to be an animal, too careful to be an accident. He adjusted his grip slowly, feeling the familiar roughness of the wooden stock against his glove. The rifle was cold but steady. It did not rush him. Minutes passed, then more. Breathing appeared where it should not have been. A shape shifted, trying to blend back into shadow after realizing it had moved too much. The shot was calm. The sound disappeared into the night, swallowed by distance and wind. Somewhere below, a body collapsed softly into snow. He moved immediately, sliding sideways, erasing his outline. Seconds later, a nervous shot cracked through the darkness where he had been lying. The night answered with silence. Another sniper was gone. Morning came slowly, as if the sun itself hesitated to look at what remained in the valley. The cold did not lift. It deepened. Frost clung to uniforms and weapons alike, turning every surface hard and unwelcoming. The man on the ridge had not slept. He did not need to. Sleep was a luxury for places where danger announced itself loudly. Here, danger whispered. Below, the enemy snipers were fewer now but smarter. They moved in pairs. One watched while the other shifted position. They used patience, not speed, hopping to outlast him. He watched back. Hours passed without a single shot. The silence stretched thin, brittle, ready to break. His fingers ached again as feeling returned, then faded once more. Pain became distant, unimportant. Near midday, one sniper made a careful move behind a line of broken rocks. Too careful. The pattern was wrong. Men trying not to be seen often reveal themselves more clearly than those who move freely. The rifle lifted almost by itself. The shot struck true. A second sniper reacted instantly, firing where he believed the threat was. The round passed close enough to remind the man that even patience has limits. He shifted, waited, listened. The second shot ended the pair. The valley grew quieter again, but the quiet had changed. It was no longer confidence. It was fear. And fear, when it settles in, spreads quickly. By the afternoon of the second day, the ridge felt different. Not safer, just quieter in a way that made men speak less. No one joked anymore. No one tested their weapons just to hear the sound. They watched the valley the way people watch deep water, aware of what it could take from them. The man with the old rifle noticed the change but did not react to it. Respect, like fear, could be distracting if you let it settle in. He stayed focused on the narrow slice of ground that mattered. Enemy radio chatter increased, voices overlapped, orders repeated. Confusion traveled faster than bullets. They were looking for him now. He understood what that meant. When a sniper draws attention, the field bends around him. Eyes shift, scopes search, mistakes multiply. Late in the afternoon, a flash appeared where no flash should exist. A reflection, brief and careless. Someone adjusting glass at the wrong moment. The rifle answered. Another sniper fell out of sight, unseen but finished. The others did not return fire immediately. They hesitated, they searched, they whispered. He moved before they decided. Behind him, one of the soldiers quietly set a canteen within his reach. No words were exchanged. None were needed. The old rifle rested again. And the valley waited, knowing it had lost something it could not replace. Fog rolled in without warning, thick and heavy, swallowing the valley piece by piece. Distance collapsed. Sound softened. Shapes lost their edges and turned into guesses. Men hated fog. It hid mistakes and created new ones. The man welcomed it. He adjusted his position slightly, not to see more but to hear better. In fog, sound travels strangely, closer than it should, slower than expected. He slowed his breathing and let the world come to him. Somewhere below, boots pressed into snow. Too careful, too measured. A man trying not to exist always leaves signs behind. The fog shifted. A darker shape moved inside it, pausing, listening. So was he. A foot slid instead of lifted. A quiet curse followed, barely audible but real. The rifle rose. The shot was swallowed instantly, erased by the fog as if it had never happened. But the effect remained. A body fell unseen, ending with a dull, soft sound. He moved at once, melting sideways into the gray. Moments later, blind shots tore through the space he had abandoned. The fog closed again. Another sniper was gone. By the third day, the cold was no longer the enemy. Fatigue was. Not the kind that weakens muscles, but the kind that slows thought. The kind that convinces a man he has already done enough. The valley felt closer now, as if it were slowly rising to meet the ridge. 2 enemy snipers remained active nearby. They worked carefully, communicating in short bursts, testing angles without exposing themselves. Professionals, the kind that survived long enough to learn. One shot came suddenly, tearing through snow inches from his position. Too close, deliberate. He did not react. Reaction was what they wanted. He waited, letting the second sniper grow impatient. Impatience breathes louder than fear. A shift, a pause that lasted too long. The rifle answered once. Then he moved, counting steps in his head, feeling distance rather than seeing it. The second sniper fired too late, revealing himself with frustration. The answer came calm and final. 2 bodies lay where confidence had been moments before. The valley shrank again. The 4th day arrived without ceremony. No sunrise worth remembering, just pale light and cold air that cut clean through thought. Only one enemy sniper remained. He was careful, too careful. He had learned from the others. He waited longer than anyone else had dared to. He refused shots that were almost perfect. He trusted patience the way the man on the ridge did. That made him dangerous. Hours passed. Nothing moved. The valley felt empty again, the way it lies before something ends. Then near midday, a breath appeared in the wrong place. A pause that lasted a second too long. Not a mistake of skill, but of exhaustion. The old rifle lifted slowly. The shot was measured, deliberate, final. Silence returned, complete this time. 11 snipers were gone. 4 days had passed. The ridge held. When it was over, no one celebrated. There were no raised voices, no laughter, no relief loud enough to break the quiet. Men simply stood and breathed, as if the air itself needed to be earned again. The valley lay still below the ridge, not empty, finished. The man with the old rifle sat back for the first time in 4 days. His body reminded him of every hour he had not moved, every breath he had measured. He cleaned the rifle slowly, carefully, the way one cleans something that has shared danger. Someone finally spoke, not a question, just a quiet observation. They laughed at it. He nodded once. The rifle looked the same as it had on the first day. Old wood, scarred metal, no shine, nothing that promised victory at a glance. Later, when asked why he never replaced it, he answered without looking up. It taught me how to wait. No one replied, they understood. Years from then, others would retell the story and get it wrong. They would add names, numbers, drama. He never corrected them. Truth did not need decoration. Somewhere else, in another war, A young soldier would carry an old rifle. And no one would laugh, because laughter is loud. And survivors listen quietly.